Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday, November 15th, 2016 meeting of the Raymore Planning and Zoning Commission. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let me remind you to please speak into the mic and make sure your mic is turned on so we have a record. We'll call roll. Commissioner Anderson.
I am here.
Commissioner Berenson.
Present.
Commissioner Bowie.
Present.
Commissioner Crane.
Here.
Commissioner Fizer.
Present.
Commissioner Meiske.
Here.
Commissioner Sarsfield.
Present.
Mayor Turnbow.
Here.
And Commissioner Faulkner is present. We've got a quorum. We've got the full commission. Let's see, no personal appearances this evening. One item under consent agenda, acceptance of minutes from our November 1st, 2016 meeting. Unless anyone has a concern that they wish to discuss, I would entertain a motion to either accept the consent agenda or accept minutes from the November 1st meeting as presented.
Accept the minutes.
Say again?
Accept the minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner Sarsfield. Do I hear a second?
Yeah. Second. Sorry.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Sarsfield, second by Commissioner Bowie to accept minutes from the November 1st, 2016 meeting. All those in favor, raise a hand, please. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Any opposed? And Commissioner Anderson abstaining. All right, so that's 8 in favor, none opposed, 1 abstention. And moving right along, nothing this evening under old business. So we'll move straight into new business and our one case this evening, case 16026, the Raymore Activity Center site plan. And let's see, Mr. Cataret, do you want to introduce this or just turn it over to Ms. Hawk? Okay, please come forward to the podium and make sure that thing is lighted. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So this evening, I am here to give you an overview of the Raymore Activity Center and the site plan associated with it. I will take you through just a couple of quick slides to show you where we are so far on the design of this building. The current image that I have is showing the building from the parking lot, and you can see this building, it's primarily a gymnasium with, which is the tall portion of the building, with the support space to the south, which is the shorter part of the building. We have done a mix of materials on this building, just to reference that. There is some masonry mixed with metal that's treated with a stucco finish, so it's not going to look like a metal building, although that is one of the materials that is being used. And then we have the wood trellis part over the entryway and creating some architectural interest on the front of the building. Just quickly, a quick slide showing you what those different materials are. We are using the stucco-like is the metal that's treated with a stucco-like finish, and we have 2 different colors that we're going to be using. I don't have an image of it, but on the back sides of the building, on the north side and on the west side, they have actually done a really pretty cool artistic treatment with that the metal panels that has kind of it fading from one color into the other, so that we don't have just big blank walls on what are big blank walls. So we're trying to give it some architectural interest as well. Next, we have the site plan for the building. You may have seen an earlier site plan that had a different configuration for the parking lot. We did take a look at how that parking lot was configured, and we have changed it from a wedge into something that's a little more linear. It does have the same number of parking spaces. We do meet the parking space requirement for this building. I believe there's 76 parking spaces that are included. We do have the drop-off area at the front of the building. And of course, we do have required landscaping, and we are making some key trail and sidewalk connections to other trails and sidewalks within the park. At the top right-hand side, you see kind of a shaded in rectangle coming off of the parking lot. That is a future access drive over to the park maintenance facility. So we wanted to make sure we aligned the parking lot in such a way that we could make that connection in the future. And of course, we are always looking at what will this site look like in the future and how will we be able to expand it. So we have taken into consideration where additional parking might go if the building does get larger at some time in the future. And then just again for reference, a quick look at the inside of the building. Like I said, we do have one large gymnasium at this time with some support space to the south. And so we won't have staff working out of here all day long, but we will have our day camps running out of here and some part-time staff running the building from time to time. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you do have about this building or the site plan.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Hawk. Questions? Commissioner Bowie?
Yeah, just a couple things. I don't mean to get ahead of us, but future expansion up or out?
Out. So it will actually go to the west. So the long side of the building, it would be towards Madison. Yeah, it would be to the left. If you're looking at the site plan. So it would be two courts side by side.
Okay, enough room? Okay, all right. And then the other thing was, just give me the general thought process of entrance on the entrance way on one side versus the other side.
Sure. So we were looking at how to align it so it fit with the other activities taking place within the park. And we knew the building, it's a building that can be viewed from all sides. And so we needed to take that into consideration. We also had to take into consideration what the main drive into the park was, knowing that we wouldn't be adding any additional main drives into the park to support this building at this time. And so we ultimately decided that there was room for parking. The best room for parking was where this parking is ultimately located. We could make the best trail connections. It was the best site for the building. And so we ultimately aligned it this way. Again, also looking at expansion, knowing that there was space to expand it to the west if we needed to expand the building, and space to expand the parking to the east if we needed to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Mr. Cataract, I guess we're ready for the staff report.
Thank you, sir. I first must apologize. I should have done it at the very beginning of the meeting. I know the mayor's computer and maybe Commissioner Crane's is not working properly, so I apologize for that. Hopefully you're able to see the screen. Very good.
Want to fix it?
That's what's wrong with it.
Oh, no.
That may be. So what we have tonight, again, as Ms. Hawk indicated, was site plan approval for the Raymore Activity Center. This particular activity center is proposed on property that is zoned PR, which is our Parks, Recreation, and Public Use District. So it has to comply with all the standards and requirements of that district. As you recall, the use itself required a conditional use permit that was approved by the City Council back on October 10th. So regarding the development standards specifically, regarding parking, there's not an actual parking ratio for this use, but in looking at the overall square footage of the building, which is just over 16,000 square feet, and there are 76 parking spaces provided. There's one parking space for 214 square feet of gross floor area, which is well within reason of what commercial uses would be required to provide. There's also room for expansion. If the building does get expanded, there's room for additional parking area, either to the north or perhaps a little bit to the east as well. As far as landscaping, again, within a public park, but as we look at this particular area where the building is being located, there's about 45% of the area provided in open space. The building materials proposed to be used compliant with our building design standards. There is pedestrian access. Specifically, there'll be a link to the trail that goes east-west across the park just to the north of the proposed building. Stormwater will be collected on site and would be discharged to the existing lake, which is a stormwater storage facility. The trash enclosure is going to be compliant with all of our requirements. As was indicated, the vehicular access, 2 access points off of the Park Drive. There'll be at some point in the future, there would be a connection to the north, not a public access to this parking lot, but really intended to be a access for the park maintenance building, so that all the park maintenance vehicles don't have to go out to Madison Street through the roundabout to get to this facility. But that could be utilized for very large events, like perhaps fireworks events, as an alternate for access to leave the site, where that could be utilized as another access point when that does get constructed in the future. But we feel overall, and the fire district has looked at the accessibility of the structure, so it is compliant with our code requirements. Staff has submitted proposed findings of fact regarding the site plan approval. We do recommend that the commission accept those findings and approve the request for site plan for Raymore Activity Center, subject to the 10 conditions that are outlined in staff. At the staff report, Mr. Eanes has presented a memorandum regarding provision of facilities to the site, and that will conclude staff reports.
Thank you, Mr. Carteret. So the case does not require a public hearing. Floor is open for discussion by the commission.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Bowie.
Thank you. Which side of the rendering was the trash, the waste? I don't know if I missed it or not.
It's on the very east side of the site here, so with the mouse, it's right on that location.
Okay.
So we did have discussions on alternate locations. The fear is we don't want to place it somewhere where there may be an expansion and we have to remove it, et cetera. It's within a reasonable distance for the use of the building. So in talking with the Parks and Recreation Director, he agreed that location was feasible.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, Commissioner Anderson.
Just a quick question. So we have a lot of conditions here presented before the board here. So I'm assuming that we're trying to get this approved here. So we do have a timeline when most of these conditions will be finalized and or approved?
Timeline would be, we're in the process of final design of the building at this point in time. So probably permitting at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
For construction throughout 2017. With, I believe, at this point, we were targeting November, probably towards the end of the year, certainly, with a building of this size.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion.
Yes, Commissioner Anderson.
All right. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the staff proposed findings of fact and approve case 16026, Raymore Activity Center site plan, subject to the following 10 conditions as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
I think that was Commissioner Berenson first. Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Anderson, second by Commissioner Berenson, to accept staff proposed findings of fact on case 16026, Raymore Activity Center site plan, and approve the case subject to the 10 conditions noted. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, raise a hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I see 9. Thank you. So 9 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. And let's get that project rolling. All right, thank you. That actually concludes new business this evening. Mr. Zur, would you give us the City Council report, please?
I'm happy to do so. Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm going to give you the City Council report from the most recent meeting, which occurred on Monday, November 14th, 2016. At that meeting, there were a couple of items of interest for the Planning Commission this evening to consider. The first one was a second reading of the Timber Trails Open Space Final Plat. It was approved unanimously by the Planning or by the City Council and also by the Planning and Zoning Commission. You might recall you had the opportunity to review the Open Space Final Plat on October October 24th, 2016. There were also a number of first readings which occurred during the course of the November 14th, 2016 City Council meeting, and I will do my best to recite the events that occurred during that time frame accurately, but obviously invite Mr. Carteret and the mayor to input any additional information they deem to be appropriate. First item under the first readings was the Evan Brook 7th plat, preliminary plat. There was a public hearing on that one. You all would recall that you approved it by a vote of 6-1 on October 18th, 2016. There was public hearing and significant public input from members within the Dutchman Acres community, or Dutchman Acres subdivision. In light of the evidence provided and the additional testimony and input from the public, the council did vote to approve it by a unanimous vote, and so they will be having that as a second reading in the next city council meeting. They also then took up the Evan Brook 7th plat, final plat, approved by the P&Z on October 18th, 2016 by a vote of 6-1, and that was again also voted approvingly at that meeting. Again, there will be a second vote for both of those items at the next city council meeting. Next item to come up, which you all had the opportunity to review back on November 1st, 2016, was the Eagle Glen Parcel 5 rezoning. You would recall that this was the removal of the townhomes and Cooper Drive going through the backside of the Eagle Glen School. I believe that's correct, the Eagle Glen School, yes.
Sounds right.
This was also a public hearing for members of the council to consider. The public hearing was opened on that, and there was substantial debate amongst members of the council regarding the closure of Cooper Drive and the access that was going to mean with regard to the neighbors on either side. After substantial debate and consideration, there was a vote that occurred, a vote of 4-4. The tie was broken by our mayor this evening, voting in favor of it, and so it will be read for a second time at the next city council meeting. I believe those are all the items of substantial concern that occurred at the city council meeting on Monday the 14th.
Very interesting. Thank you, Mr. Zer.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Meiske?
Mr. Zer, you're going to have to help me with this. The motion that we had on the case that we just voted on is we actually have 11 findings of fact, not 10, the way I count it.
Okay, well,
I'm not sure how to go back
Hold a
and do
minute.
this.
we can always pull it back, but let's see where
It
the
may not be a
11,
big deal. but-
let's see where the
And
11
conditions.
snuck in, because
Well, findings of facts, I'm sorry.
oh, no, wait.
The
No, I'm-
findings of facts.
So I'm counting conditions
Okay, I'm sorry.
ending on
Findings of
page
facts.
14. So basically, I think the motion was to accept staff proposed findings of fact, no count given for those, and approve the case subject to the following 10 conditions.
Okay, am I on the
So
wrong page then?
I'm counting, well, I'm
Count 10.
counting on page 13
Oh,
and 14.
Conditions, 13, start on 13.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was
No,
wrong.
that's all right.
I'm right, I was wrong.
I think we're correct.
Mr. Zer, you think we're okay?
I believe so. We'll
Okay.
go-
You're right.
we will absolutely go back and check the minutes from that just to make sure.
Yeah.
But it's my understanding that the commission voted to approve the application subject to the 10 conditions identified in staff's recommendations.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Findings
Think-
of facts, one count.
Yeah,
Findings-
I think
You
we
adopted the
agree.
findings of fact. We don't care about the numbers of those.
Right, I think we
Okay.
agree that was what we believe was the motion and the vote. So I think we're okay. But keep us honest. Thank you,
Okay.
Commissioner Meiske.
I apologize.
No apology necessary. Hey, if you've had a day like I've had, trust me, it's better to check it out than to blindly go forward. Okay, so let's see. Thank you, Mr. Zer. Mayor Turnbow, did you have anything to add on city council report?
With regard to the Eagle Glen project, or Eagle Glen Parcel 5, one of the no votes that occurred with an argument that they had, one of the council members had noted that they'd previously served on the P&Z and that the road was actually argued for and passed by this group under the argument that Mr. Bob Jackson, the original owner, who is unfortunately his health has failed to the point he can't testify before us, had actually put that road in. I think when they decided that the road would cause some issues with regard to the project and the value of the project that they like to do, that will be coming before us in the future, that roadway became kind of an obstruction to the overall continuity of that project. That will be something that we'll probably debate in a future work session amongst us, amongst the council members. But I felt like, I was a positive vote on the P&Z the night it came before us. And the reason I voted in favor of it is I felt it still held a lot of merit that the P&Z gave a lot of thought to. And so it's moving forward for its second reading. I'm hoping that maybe those that were not in favor of it will continue to inquire about it and investigate it and hopefully adopt the same continuity of thought that we did on that. Anyway, that's all I had to add.
No, that's very good, and we appreciate that since you are, in fact, our liaison with City Council. So you're our eyes and ears. We appreciate that insight. Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. Carteret, I believe it's time for the staff report.
Thank you. Just a couple of items. Earlier this evening at 6 o'clock, our Board of Adjustment did have a meeting. We had 2 public hearings for 2 various applications, and the board did approve each of those requests. At this time, we do not have any items scheduled for our December 6th or December 20th meeting. I do need to confer with Mr. Zur on availability. We haven't had an opportunity to speak, but I hesitate to have us cancel both meetings.
Right.
It seems appropriate to cancel the December 20th meeting, being close to the holiday. December 6th, if time permits, may be a good opportunity for training. There's specific training that Mr. Zur and I have spoken about, a little more specific items to discuss with the commission. Felt that might be a good opportunity and time to do that.
So if you would crutch my memory a little bit here, I seem to remember toward the end of the year, we typically have had a UDC review.
And we have done that, though. It's taken a long, we did our review of the UDC. There are some amendments to bring forward. They just
Right.
haven't made it to your desk yet.
Right. I'm just simply trying to remember if we have anything else hanging out for the end of the year.
I don't believe so, sir.
Okay, so I'm perfectly fine with the idea of the next meeting being a training session. Other commissioners have any problems with the first?
No? Oh, see,
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Zur.
See, I don't want to commit him.
I know.
He's got a very, very busy
Well,
schedule.
Before we worry about our 10th commissioner, the ghost in the machine, let's see what the rest of the commission feels like. Proposed meeting the first Tuesday of December, and did I say that right? It's always the first Tuesday.
I don't have an issue with it. I don't know about the other
And
commissioners.
cancel the meeting later in December. Any concerns about that from commissioners?
Nope.
Okay, Mr. Zur.
To be honest, I'm fairly excited about the proposed training that Jim and I have both spoken about. Part of what we are hoping to be able to do, I have given a generalized training for planning and zoning in the past, and a lot of that is going to be for new members coming in or as a refresher. What I am hopeful of being able to do with the training session that Mr. Carteret and I have spoken about is to go through and provide you with specific examples of here's a final plat, or here's a preliminary plat, or here's a site plan, or here's a proposed application that would come before you. And from a planning staff position and from the attorney's perspective, this is what we look at and what focuses our attention during the course of those applications to kind of give you all a better sense. There have been times when I've received questions and really part of the answer that I want to give would be you need to look at the proposed findings of fact that have been provided by the staff report, and a lot of that will be focusing you back to that. So
Will you also include Mr. Eanes' vantage point as well?
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
okay.
that would be great consideration. Thank you.
Because I know I sound like a stuck record, but I've said so many times, this commission depends very heavily on the work that staff does. So I think, Mr. Zur, that makes perfect sense.
I will make sure Mr. Eames outlines you detailed information on hydrology reports and traffic counts. I'm sure you'll
Right.
appreciate that.
We'll take a nice nap if we can get a motion for a recess there, yes.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Commissioner Bowie?
Would it be possible, and I'm just brainstorming here, would it be possible at some point to maybe have a work session or maybe a 15, 30-minute training or something regarding drawings? I think, I've seen a lot of drawings, but I think a lot of us maybe could use a refresher on interpretation of drawings and so forth. Just something to think about. I don't know about the others. I know we have an architect on board. Yeah, maybe she can lead that, but it's just a suggestion to help us in the future.
Well, and I would agree with that, and I remember not very long ago asking Mr. Zur a question about whether we needed a condition or whether a notation on the print was sufficient. His answer was, it's on the plat, it's fine, but, including, I guess understanding maybe some order of precedence there or what is necessary and sufficient in terms of documentation. Sure, no, I think that's good. We good? Okay, so what was the Tuesday in December then, the first Tuesday?
So December 6th will be our training, the first
Okay,
Tuesday.
good.
And then cancel December 20.
Now, and I'm trying to remember training, we probably won't have minutes for approval at that meeting, correct?
That's correct, we will
Okay.
not.
So it'll be a work session. All right, December 6th on your calendars. Yeah, Mr. Carteret, do you think we'll be in chambers or in the conference room? I don't think it matters. We'll find it.
You'll have to find us. I don't know yet.
It's a challenge, Commissioner Bowie. We'll find it. All right, Mr. Carteret, did you have more on the staff report?
Yeah, a couple of items then. Staff did receive a request from one of the commissioners regarding the use of the potential use as a board member or commission member of the raymore.com email address. Certainly staff, council members, all the park board members do utilize a raymore.com email address for correspondence from the city or to the city back and forth. It is strongly recommended to separate out emails from private emails as the commission conducts business. A little different, the commission doesn't do as much transaction through email of any business items the way the park board does, or certainly city council, but it's certainly available to commission members to utilize if they want to for correspondence back and forth, again, to staff or to each other. So the city does provide that email address. It would be your first initial, last name, @raymore.com. But I simply would request, it was mandated, it was initially offered to the park board, and then it turned into park board had to utilize the raymore.com address for correspondence with staff. At this point in time, again, the functions are a lot different between park board and planning commission, so I don't feel that is necessary, but we want to offer it to the commission members if you do want to utilize it.
Well, I'm just shooting from the hip here. I think probably a choice like that might be best left up to the commission as a majority. I, for one, would kind of like to think that over. It's first I remember hearing of that, and I guess one of my concerns, just off the top of my head, is that that's another place that I might have to look for emails and and might very likely miss, and probably another password I have to remember, so I'm, yeah, right. Aren't these collector's items now? Anyway, sorry. Just a.
That's fine. You don't have to make a decision this evening, but it is available.
I think I'd like to procrastinate on that decision, but certainly something for the commission to think about, and then I think, to me, it makes sense to let the commission decide by majority whether we want to do that or not. I think, feels like we should all either use it or not. I'm kind of a proponent, if it's not broken, don't fix it, and so I'm not necessarily sure that it's broken right now, but let's consider it. That sound reasonable for tonight? Okay. Thanks. Continue, please, Mr.
All
Carey.
right. Couple more items. I just want to advise the commission, the annual planning conference, where one of the commissioner members are invited to participate in and attend, is May 6th through the 9th of 2017. The conference is in New York City this year. We've had a commission member go, at least one commission member go for several years in a row now running. And certainly we have budgeted and want to invite one of the commission members to participate in that. Again, that was May 6th through the 9th.
I presume you're planning to attend as well?
Yes, I would be attending this year, yes.
Okay. So,
And I believe Councilmember Moorhead, former Commissioner Moorhead, is attending as well.
okay. Well, I don't necessarily know that should sway us one way or the
No.
other.
Just
I always-
another familiar face.
I always think yes, that's true. I always think it's a good opportunity, and certainly would like for Raymore to be there. I think we've had good interest in the past, so if any of the commissioners are interested, I think probably let us know at the next meeting. You've got a deadline, but it's probably out there a ways.
It is. Registration's not open yet, but we like to get the registration in right of way for hotel.
Yeah, it's good to start.
Reservations
Good to
and-
start thinking and get it on calendars as well.
That's right. So any interest, just let me know.
All right.
And then the last item, if I may, just call Mr. Eads for an update on our public works projects.
Absolutely.
I just have a few projects I want to talk about. Decorative lights was one of our small CIP projects. All the lights are installed. If you want to go look at the lights, they're at Aspen and Monroe near the small church.
Okay.
2016 sidewalk, the crews are making good progress. They're working at Walker Street, Fox Ridge, and Johnston Parkway. Highway 58 overlay is complete except for the striping in front of the Mazuma Credit Union. All of the trails have been sealed in the park area. That was part of our 2016 microsurface project. And medium beautification, they're still working at Huntsman and Monroe. Hopefully, the Huntsman area will be open at the later part of this week. So,
Weather has been cooperative, hasn't it?
so far,
Yeah,
yes.
so far, well, not to be taken for granted. Thank you, Mr. Eads.
Okay.
Mr. Carteret, anything else?
That's all. Thank you.
All right. I'd open the floor for public comment, and I suspect it's going to be very brief, so let's go for commission member comment. Commissioner Boyd, do you mind if I start with you this evening?
No comment. I'm okay.
All right, well,
I've said it.
all right, I'm just going to move on down the line. Commissioner Meiske,
No comment.
Commissioner Berenson,
No comment.
Commissioner Anderson.
I do have a comment.
Good, welcome back. Missed you.
I think that was it. It was, I missed you guys, I think the past two meetings here, and when I saw this on my door here, so it must be some type of prank that's going on, so it's good to be back in town and not in LA or wherever I was, so it's good to see familiar faces, so glad to be back.
We're glad you're back, and we'll look forward to your ongoing participation. Vice Chair Pfizer.
No comment.
Secretary Crane.
Last Friday, I was proud to attend the Veterans Breakfast at Hy-Vee.
I took my 92-year-old Bastogne veteran father-in-law and my Gulf War son, and me being a Vietnam veteran. There was a 102-year-old World War II veteran there.
Wow.
That was real interesting to sit and talk to. And I'm just really glad that Belton and Raymore, take the time out to honor the veterans every year. And I'll be happy to see it again next year.
Thank you, Commissioner Crane. Commissioner Sarsfield.
Yes, to give a positive note on the cable installation, I did get some grass seed finally. And I have one question. I'm not, what the heck? On Lucy Webb, what was it, yesterday? Someone hit a water main?
Yes, that's correct. Google Fiber did hit a water main.
Oh,
Yeah, there was a good flood coming down the road there.
Yes.
bummer. Well, bound to happen sooner or later. Hopefully didn't cause anyone too much inconvenience.
My wife automatically thought we were out of water. I says, we're 5 blocks from there. She says, with our luck, we'll be out of water.
All right. Mayor Turnbow.
And the only thing I have tonight is we had a great weather for a great turnout at the a groundbreaking ceremony for the community annex that's going to go in out back. They should turn dirt by next Monday, hoping that the weather cooperates. I know it's going to get cooler, but they're looking forward to it, and that's going to make a great center. It's called Centerview, and it's going to be a great addition to what we hope will become the center spot of the city. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. I don't have much. I think I already sort of said it. Mr. Carteret, Mr. Eanes, Mr. Zur, thank you all three, and Ms. Hawk has left already, but city staff as well. Thank you all for your support. We could not do our job without you, and Mr. Carteret, as I watched you scrambling around trying to get the PCs running before the meeting, I realize how many hats you do wear, so it doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you very much. All right, unless anyone has anything else to add, I'm not sure that we beat them by much, but I think we might have beaten Board of Zoning Adjustments meeting time this evening, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Got a motion from Commissioner Anderson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bowie. All those in favor, raise a hand, please. And I'm pretty sure that's 9 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. Good night, all. We'll see you the 6th of December.
Are we ever going to get some Army in here for the flag raising instead of the Marines?
I'm trying to remember.
Well, that was actually the sheriff's department.